Om Tat Sat. My humble prostrations to the all-pervading Brahman or God, to my worshipful Guruji, Swami Jyotirmayananda Ji Maharaj, to all the sages and saints, and to each of you divine soul watching today's satsang. So today we will be studying Sutra number 34 from the Raj Yoga Sutras of Patanjali Maharaj. This is the final sutra and the conclusion of our entire series on this book, Raj Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. Commentary is by my worshipful Guruji, Swami Jyotirmayananda Ji Maharaj, and narrated by myself, Swami Nikhilananda. So let's get started. Sutra 34 from the Kaivalya Pad, and this is the final sutra. Again, this is the book that we have been using for each of you. Those who want to order it can get it from yrf.org, yogaresearchfoundation.org. But I have given you the explanation of every single sutra in my channel. So those of you who have not yet subscribed, please do so and share with other serious aspirants who can also benefit from this beautiful knowledge that our sages and saints have shared with us. So let's continue on this final sutra, and then we will conclude this series today. Sutra 34 is, and the final sutra, Purushartha Shunyanam Gunanam Pratiprasavah Kaivalyam Swarupa Pratishtha Va Chiti Shakter Iti. Again, Purushartha Shunyanam Gunanam Pratiprasavah Kaivalyam Swarupa Pratishtha Va Chittim Shakter Iti. Meaning, devoid of serving any purpose for the soul, the gunas become involved in their own source, prakriti, or in other words, the seer, which is characterized by the power of consciousness, becomes established in the essential nature of the self. Thus ends the scripture of yoga. So what that means is that normally avidya or illusion that was keeping us mesmerized in this world process no longer exists. Through our penance and through God's grace, we have intensified our meditation experience to reach to a point where we are seeing the self directly, and at that point, therefore, prakriti and chitta are no longer needed, so they go back to its source, creation, prakriti, mother nature, and you have the yogi has attained self-realization, and that was the whole purpose, the prayojan of this scripture, to attain God realization, and they have succeeded in guiding us. So theoretically, they have given us all the tools, but now we have to practice, bring it into our daily lives, and benefit from it and touch that desirable goal of mukti or liberation. So the gunas of prakriti continue to operate for the sake of the purusha. Purusha is the consciousness or the self. So normally the gunas continue to operate of sattva, rajas, and tamas. So they must continue to provide bhoga, which are experiences of pleasure and pain, which is what we all do. That's why we say there is pain in the world, or we are seeking pleasure and so on, in order to lead the soul to the ascending heights of wisdom until it attains apavarga or liberation. Remember, we have covered in the previous sutras, there are two purposes for why the chitta exists and the soul, purusha. One is taking us towards the world, and the other one is towards apavarga or liberation. So once in the state of liberation, this twofold purpose becomes extinct. There is no need for the world process anymore, since that has been demystified. It's like waking up from a dream. When you are awake, there is no more dream. So there is no more need for that dream. The yogi has attained the supreme purpose of his existence, and is there nothing more to be accomplished. So he has achieved what he came to this earth to do, and that is easier said in a book, hard to do in practice, but it's very possible. That's why we have sages, saints, and rishis, munis, and people who have actually achieved it. These are called Brahmashrotriya, Brahmanishta gurus, who actually have achieved this knowledge and are now sharing it with other people. But don't look for shortcuts, don't look for easy easy people who tell you they'll give you enlightenment in a sharp, effective, very short way. None of those things are true. The real knowledge takes effort. Just like becoming a doctor in this physical world will take a lot of time, effort, and dedication. Much in the same way, spiritual knowledge is even harder because you're forever terminating the series of your lives. So be ready to pay the price. But the beautiful thing is that you start enjoying the journey. When you start enjoying the process, it doesn't feel like effort. So therefore, it comes naturally, and the more we enjoy, the easier the journey becomes. So once the gunas have returned to their source, Prakriti, because they are no longer needed for the self, because the ignorance is destroyed, the spirit or Purusha, which has been identified with the vrittis and the chitta, is no longer under the influence of avidya. Remember that veil of curtain of ignorance has been broken, has been sheared. So there is no ignorance. Therefore, it abides in its essential nature, and that is what we call liberation. This glorious state of human existence is the goal of all religions and mystical movements of this world. And yet people keep on arguing that my religion is better than yours, or they believe in converting people or doing this or doing that. None of that. That is all such low level thinking, because to reach to this state, this is universal knowledge. Everybody can achieve it. And you can practice your faith, your belief, your religion, and practice these things and still get there. This is all one. These are universal concepts. Our bodies are universal. Birth is universal. Death is universal, And so all these things we have to understand. We have to become more accepting, globally holistic, and then we can enjoy the nectar. We have to learn humanity. Then divinity automatically starts to come within us. But if we have these limited compartments thinking it's only my way or the highway, we will not get anywhere. We may gain popularity, we may have people, we may get some name and fame in the world, but that's about it. And those are transient things. Those are not really of any value once we depart from this world, because we have not terminated the cycle of life and death. So though it is one and the same, it is known by different names according to the different religions and philosophical systems. This is the beauty of yoga. It doesn't dispute anything. It doesn't disagree with any religion. It says absolutely you can get there through your process. But this is the foundational block. If you use this, then just like breath is common to a Chinese and to an American person or Indian, it doesn't matter. We all breathe, we are all born, and we all will die. So therefore, it looks at that angle. It doesn't get into the ritualistic side and the religion aspect. It just gives you a state process of how to get to that point. So self-realization, liberation, mukti, nirvana, absolute freedom, independence, kingdom of heaven, communion with God, they're all synonymous terms. They all have the same meaning. See, this is the essence where Sage Patanjali now and our Guruji, Swami Jyotirmayananda ji, is trying to guide us to bring this whole book and chapter to a close. Basically means expand our consciousness, open our thinking, be open-minded, and be more giving. So there is one important quotation from the Vedas, which are the oldest scriptures available. At least nobody knows the time because it is Sanatan Dharma, but at least 10,000 years before Christ or something. So they say that Ekam Sat Vipra Bahuda Vadanti, there is only one truth, but it is expressed in different ways. So there is no conflict. It's the same path. Going on a mountain from here or from there or from here, we all reach the same apex, is what we have to understand. Therefore, there is total freedom in your belief system, in your way, but you have to follow the process through which the creation has come, and then the involution and evolution process, basically. So we have to understand it's the same truth, but sages and saints are speaking of it in different ways. Therefore, but yet self-realization is the same for everybody. Ask any enlightened saint and he will share with you the universal application. Therefore, there is no basic contradiction in different approaches to the same goal, is what's important. So though apparently different in their approach, both are philosophical systems systems of yoga and Vedanta and are the same when studied deeply. So when we process this and understand it, even with Vedanta and yoga philosophy, they have different thoughts, but nobody is disagreeing on the fundamental beliefs and the process and the effort involved to get there. So the practical insights presented in yoga and the philosophical insights of Vedanta are mutually supplementary and complementary to each other. So they build upon each other. And Prakriti of Raj Yoga is transmuted into the concept of Maya in Vedanta. Maya means illusion, just like a dream. So Maya, Vedanta uses the concept of a dream, that when you are dreaming, everything appears real. When you wake up, there is nothing. So yes, but while you are dreaming, it is real for you. You are getting scared, you're hearing sounds and experiences and so on. So that is what the process is. And Raj Yoga says, look, you can go through your meditation experience, build the samadhis and go higher and eventually get liberated that way. But they're both guiding you to the same end goal. The liberated yogi is no longer deluded. He understands that while Raj Yoga views all modifications of Prakriti in a realistic manner, the changes happening through Sattva, Rajas and Tamas, Vedanta is explaining them in the forms of illusory superimpositions, just like you see a snake on a rope. It's actually a rope, but it's slightly dark and you're looking at it as a snake. So for you it's a snake, right? Because you are thinking it's a snake. In reality it's only a rope. So that's what Vedanta is basically saying. You can learn that this world is an illusion, and Patanjali Maharaj is saying you can learn through the modifications, but they're eventually taking us to the same end goal. The effects of Maya, which are the mind, intellect, elements, they are all of the nature of Maya. And the self alone exists. That's the bottom line. And once we understand that self, that is the sage. Who knows it is an enlightened one. Who doesn't know it is progressing towards that path. He becomes free from the bondage of the world process and freed of all misery, established in his essential identity. The spirit becomes immersed in the ocean of bliss. So that is the goal of self-realization, and that this is the whole purpose of Patanjali's sage Patanjali and our Guru's contributions to this beautiful Raja Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. So this was the final sutra. Again, this is the book. We have finished it today, and very profound, very deep, and I have those of you who are intrigued, please continue to subscribe to my channel, as I will continue to bring to you holy scriptures and deep insights from sages and saints and from the mysteries of the scriptures. This is Swami Nikhilananda. God bless all of you. Since we have covered this scripture, let me do a short Triambakam mantra for all of you. May your meditation practice go deeper. May you all benefit from this, and may we all be connected as we evolve on this holy journey in this human life. Om Triambakam yajamahe sugandhim pushtivardanam urvarukamiva bandhanan mrityor mokshiyamamritat. Om Shantihi Shantihi Shantihi. Hari Om Tat Sat.